Hey guys, Ryan here. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down what I think is the new meta assault rifle in Warzone. Now, even though it's very early on, I think a lot of people are wondering what guns they should be spending their time trying to level up, and I think this is one that if you're an assault rifle player, you have to be leveling up. In this video, I'm going to be covering what's the best build for this gun, I'm going to be talking about why I think you should be using it, and I'm also going to be talking about competitors and alternatives and other guns you should use if you just don't vibe with this gun. So first things first, the gameplay in the background is from a 23 kill win I got on the very first day of Caldera being out, and right away after playing a good bit that day, one of the key guns I started to really feel was extremely powerful was the NZ-41. Now, one of the main things and one of the main reasons I thought this was because you can get it as ground loot in a green variant, a blue variant, a purple variant, and maybe even a golden variant, but for the most part, tons of ground loot in this game comes with super high recoil, and this thing has some of the least recoil on any of the ground loot guns I picked up, period. But as a loadout gun, it performs entirely differently, and it is amazing. It is absolutely killer as a loadout gun, and I think you're going to be seeing this thing creep up in the meta, and it's going to be one of the most dominant ARs in the next coming weeks. So I'm about to jump into attachments, but before that, I just want to say if you enjoy content like this, if you want to see more content like this, then do maybe consider subscribing. But enough about all of that, and let's get into the attachments. Now, the way this gun is used as a loadout option is going to be built as a very long range assault rifle. So it's going to be similar to guns like the Krig, the AMAX, the EM2, the Cold War AK at times. Pretty much just any long range meta AR that you've experienced recently, this gun feels similar, but it's more similar to the heavy kick ones like the EM2 Cold War AK than it is to the very low recoil metas that we experienced with the Kilo and the Krig. Now, it's not to say this thing is extremely heavy recoil, because it's not. It has kind of moderate recoil, but compared to some guns like the Automaton, for example, this gun has a little bit more recoil, and that's the main thing that the build tries to kind of address. Now, when you do see that build, please keep in mind that a lot of the true stats of these attachments aren't revealed yet. I cannot go to places like True Game Data and get the best objective builds, which is how I've built my gun since the start of this channel. While I can see the stats in game and the different ways they may change things, I don't have any real objective evidence that says they truly do exactly what they do. So you may see some of these attachments changing in the upcoming weeks, but from my experience, these attachments will be more than good enough and you're going to find yourself frying. Now, the main strength of this gun is going to be in the mid-range. That's where I'd like to compare it to the Cold War AK, the AMAX, and even the EM2. So when using this gun, you want to really try and get gunfights in the mid to long range. You don't want gunfights to be super far away from you, because this gun is going to have a little bit too much recoil to consistently contend at 100 meters plus. You can hit your shots, you can contend, you can be there, don't get me wrong, but you are not going to be as effective. Now, on the flip side, in that mid-range area, this gun destroys. There is almost no other gun I would rather have right now than this thing. The BAR, the STG, they're actually all really good and they're close contenders, and I think they're almost just as meta, and I'm going to get into the contenders here in a second. But when it comes to this mid-range area that I'm describing, there's almost no other gun in the entire game I'd rather have right now. Now, it's not to say it's super weak in the long ranges, as I've talked about before, but it's something you kind of want to try and avoid if possible. Now, having said all of that, one of the key things you're going to run into when using Vanguard guns is their recoil is absolutely ridiculous until you level your guns up a good bit. Until you get a lot of recoil control attachments, your guns will kick like crazy, and it drives me insane. I feel bad for so many people who have to go through the process of leveling these guns up, because without attachments, some of them are outright horrible to try and use, and some of the ground loot, you're going to experience exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to pick up some of this ground loot, some of the LMGs, and you're going to try and shoot someone 20 meters out, and it's going to be impossible for you to hit them because the kick is going to be that bad. I am not even kidding. Some of the guns in this game have insane recoil, and I'm sure a lot of this is going to be changed. But this is a strength of the NZ-41. Because while you're on the quest to level up your guns, and while you're out there using all of this ground loot out there for the next couple months, the NZ-41 variations of the ground loot have very little recoil and they have great damage. So this means you have an easy way to level up this gun, which takes a long time to level up guns in Vanguard, and you have a good gun to use in the process. It's not necessarily great, and if you can get your hands on a purple variant, you're going to really have a good time. But even here, I get this gun in the gulag, and of course I'm going to cop the dub with it. This gun is super strong, and I'd recommend for almost anyone to go through the time to level it up. However, it wouldn't be fair of me to not consider other guns that may be better than this or may be just as good for different people. And so speaking strictly assault rifles, not LMGs, the three main contenders are going to be the Automaton, the STG, and the bar. So all of those kind of fill a different role and have slightly different feel. Now, the Automaton is the low recoil, kind of medium damage assault rifle in this game. It has good damage in the middle range, kind of, but it has really good recoil, and that's where its strength is. It doesn't have great damage across the board, but it's really easy to inflict a lot of damage because it's really easy to hit your shots with the gun. Now, the STG, on the other hand, is kind of in the middle. It's not too heavy, doesn't have that much recoil, but at super long ranges, the time to kill is a little iffy, and the recoil can just be just enough to make it hard to hit the shots. It's pretty similar to the NZ-41. In fact, of all the assault rifles I mentioned, it's the most similar to the NZ-41. And last but not least, in my opinion, is the bar. Now, the bar is another gun I do really want to make a video on because this thing is insane. Now, it has some very obvious and very glaring weaknesses like super bad mobility, super bad handling, low magazine size, whatever. But in terms of feel, in terms of damage, all of that, the gun feels amazing. It feels like it shreds people. If you can just hit that 2-3 shots, it will delete. It feels like what the Odin should have been almost the entire time. And that's no offense to people who like the Odin, because I love the Odin, but let's be honest. It could have been so much better in Warzone, and the bar kind of feels what I felt like the Odin should have always been. Now, if you're looking kind of beyond as well, though, some of the Marksman rifles, some of the LMGs, they may really contend here, and that's going to be kind of a problem for guns like the NZ-41. There are so many options in this meta right now, but when I spent the day watching the best players play Warzone, when I spent the day playing Warzone, and I saw people playing on this new map, this gun stood out amongst almost all the others out there. There was almost no other assault rifle I saw more people using than this gun, and I think if you actually spend the time to use it yourself, you're going to see exactly what I mean. And I think if you just even find that ground loot version, and you just sit there and feel it, you just shoot it at a wall a little bit, you're going to see exactly what I mean. If you picture that thing actually built properly with the right attachments, with the right recoil reducing stuff, you can envision its potential. So anyways, guys, I've been loving the new map. I hope you guys enjoy it too. I cannot wait to make tons of content for this game to really help people kind of figure out the best guns they should use, how to build these guns, and just the best way they should be playing this map, the best way they should be playing overall, and just everything. I appreciate all the support. I just want to say thank you guys. I hope you have a good day. It's been Ryan. Peace.